Okay, I think we could go ahead and get started. Good afternoon and welcome to the Office of Economic Development Business Information Session. My name is Margaret McGee, the Business Services Manager. Business services assist entrepreneurs and business owners in starting and growing their business. We help and navigate through the different departments within city government to obtain permits and licenses. We also connect the business community with organizations that can provide technical assistance, incentives, resources, and other beneficial programs in operating a business. One way we do this is to host business information sessions. These sessions are held throughout the year, and topics are gathered from entrepreneurs, surveys, and information we collect from the business community. This is a series of 3 sessions focusing on business funding, including JP Morgan Chase, local community development financial institutions, also known as CDFIs, the New Orleans Tourism and Cultural Foundation, also known as NOTCF. If you have missed the first session, you'll be able to view this on the Office of Economic Development YouTube channel. Today we have Ms. Ramona Sanders, Hope Credit Union's Small Business Loan Officer, and Ms. Almer Brown, Vice President of Microlending at LiftFund Louisiana. They will share an overview of their organization and business funding opportunities. To keep down distractions, attendees, please turn off your videos and mute your speakers. Please place your questions in the chat box and we'll answer them when we have the opportunity. All handouts provided will be shared within 24 to 48 hours after the meeting has ended. Now I'll turn it over to Ms. Ramona Sanders, followed by Ms. Alma Brown.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Again, I'm Ramona Sanders. I'm a small business loan officer with Hope Federal Credit Union. In case you don't know about Hope, I'll tell you a little bit about our background. Hope was founded over 30 years ago, and our headquarters are in Jackson, Mississippi. We're in 5 states, which is Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Western Tennessee, and soon to be in Atlanta. So Hope is a credit union, and we're also a CDFI, which is a Certified Development Financial Institution. Difference between that and your typical financial institution bank, CDFIs are more mission-driven. We are able to help those who cannot necessarily go into a traditional bank. We have specific programs geared towards the underserved and areas where people cannot go into the bank and get help that they need. Although we do also help people from, all backgrounds and all areas. You don't necessarily have to be from an underserved area, but that is our mission. And that is what we were formed for over 30 years ago. I'm going to share my screen real quick. So you can see my presentation. So I'm going to be talking about Hope Credit Union, some of our special things that we do, a little bit about our requirements, and just give you some more information on some things that you can do to be prepared for financing, and again, some background on Hope and how we might be able to help you in your business. So first of all, I want to share Hope's mission and impact. Our mission is to strengthen financial wealth and health and wealth of people in under-resourced Deep South communities. So as I said, we were formed over 30 years ago, and we target the Deep South, which is the 5 states that we are in. Since '94, we generated more than $3.1 billion in financing and services for underbanked and underserved in the 5 states that we're in. There's numerous types of business financing that we offer. Just to begin, I want to talk about some of the financing types that we can assist your small business with. We do secured loans that is secured by real estate, equipment, even cash. So we do loans to purchase real estate, purchase equipment, refinance, or you can do loans to secure your own cash and use your own cash as collateral. One of the reasons why that is really helpful to some small business owners is you may have some cash set aside to use for your business, but instead of draining your savings and that emergency fund that you have set aside, you can borrow against that. And then once the loan is paid off, you still have those funds. So it's almost like a guaranteed forced savings. And the interest rate is usually substantially lower than typical loan interest rate. We also do unsecured lending. We do have a requirement for collateral over 25,000. So anything under 25,000, we can look at to potentially do without collateral. It really just depends on the strength of the business and of the borrower. We do term loans, installment loans where you have a set term and maturity. And we also do lines of credit and open-end lines of credit, revolving lines. Our lines of credit are good for 1 year. And after 1 year, they need to be renewed. We look at your financial information and make sure everything is still on track with our requirements. And if so, then we can look at renewing that line of credit for you for potentially another year. Some of the purposes that we do lending for, real estate loans, we do purchase and refinances for real estate. We are able to do commercial properties like office buildings, any properties where there's offices. We also, warehouses, anything like that. We also do a lot of investment real estate. And in Louisiana, especially the New Orleans area, investment real estate is really, really big right now. And that is one of the things that we do. So as long as there is either equity in the property, you can refinance, get cash out to do repairs or maintenance, or you can refinance at a lower rate. Or if you're looking to purchase investment property, that is definitely something that we are pretty much experts at, and we definitely can help with that. Vehicle loans, purchase and refinance. So we can do new or used vehicles. We do have a program right now, I'll speak about a little bit later, but we are able to do 100% financing if your vehicle is less than 2 years old. Our equipment, if it's older than 2 years, then we are able to do up to 75% financing. Equipment loans, we consider vehicles and equipment loans pretty much in the same product type. So that's the 100% and the 75% that I mentioned earlier actually applies to vehicle and equipment loans. So any type of equipment. We can also, I'm doing a couple loans right now for drone equipment. So it's not maybe your typical, heavy equipment, things like that. We try to think outside the box. And if we have borrowers that have unique businesses that have some sort of equipment, that is something that we can look at, either doing a purchase for them or refinancing that equipment that they've already purchased possibly. And again, we do cash secured loans for business purposes, unsecured. A lot of business purposes are working capital. So if it's not for a purchase, we find one of the main things that I get requests for is for working capital. And we do a lot of working capital loans. That's really important to small businesses, but it does have to make sense for the business. So, if you are seeking lending for working capital, keep in mind that that purpose for those funds needs to match with your type of business. So if, let's say, a hair salon, just throwing something out there, came in for maybe a loan for a tractor, something crazy. Well, that doesn't really go with the type of business. So of course, we're going to question that. So, however, if that hair salon came in for furniture for their salon, new chairs, sinks, that type of thing, or funds for working capital for supplies. And that makes sense for that business. So that's something to keep in mind, that it has to make sense. The purpose has to match the industry or the type of business. And some people are surprised that we actually ask what you're going to use the funds for. That's very important. So, the bank wants to make sure that the funds are going to be used for the stated purpose. And also, we want to make sure that we're helping you in the best way. We want to put you in the right type of loan for what you need. So, some loans are not ideal for some instances. For instance, a line of credit is not really the best way to go purchase a vehicle or equipment. We need to do a vehicle loan for you or an equipment loan that has a set payment and term. And at the end of 5 to 6 years, it's done, it's paid for. That those large purchases like that are not something that you want to line of credit. So that is part of our job, is to see, what your needs are. Tell me about your business. What are you looking to do? What is it that you need? And then to try to use, our experience and expertise to make sure that we're helping you in the appropriate way. Unsecured loans, as I said, startup loans. Now we do a lot of startup loans. There are many financial institutions right now that don't do startup loans for a new business. That is something that we do. If you're doing a startup loan, then we're going to rely on personal income. So if you don't have income in the business yet, then we can use your personal W-2 income to look at that from an underwriting perspective. So it is important to have income to back that up. Sometimes, I have come across some people who are starting a new business, but they've, quit their full-time job just to completely throw themselves into the business. And, while we understand that desire to do that, to get the business started, that is potentially could cause problems because we don't have the income there. So keep that in mind. Income, if for a new business, we don't look at your personal income. And if you don't have it yourself, you could potentially have someone on the loan with you that does have income. So, we do look at all those factors to try to make it work for you, to try to see, how we can make this work and how we can best help you. Well, we do loans for business expansion, to expand your business or even to add services. I had recently had a business and they're adding their catering. They're going to add a brick and mortar location for, restaurant type deli. And that's something that we can do. We can add, give financing to add services to expand that business and to help you with your business growth. Refinance business debt. This is something that we do quite a lot of. I've had quite a lot of these. So, and one of our, as I said before, we're a CDFI, so we're mission driven. And one of the things that, one of our missions is to help with predatory lending. So, we are able to refinance business debt. I did a loan earlier this year, and this young lady had a restaurant, and her restaurant, she took out some, business loans. Her payments were 5,000, almost 6,000 a month, because they were very high interest. We were able to refinance it and get her note down to $2,000 a month. So that really helped her. So it's definitely something that is a mission for us and something that we do like to help small businesses with, because some of these small businesses, take out those loans when they're getting started, which is understandable, but they're usually many times high interest. So it's one of the big things that we can help small businesses with. And then funding for, contract and procurement. There's so many, government contracts out there right now, so many people seeking funding for government contracts. And that is something that, we do see a lot of. That's something that we can also look, another purpose that we can assist small business owners with. A couple of things too, just to prepare for financing, make sure that you have certain things in order and you have certain things prepared ahead of time, that it will definitely help you. I have know your numbers. So know your numbers is, your finances. What is your income, your revenue, your expenses, your net income? those expenses, what kind of expenses are they? Where are they coming from? Where's your revenue coming from? Sometimes we may call you and ask you, for a specific item on your tax return or profit and loss statement. Can you explain this to me? Can you explain to me, why revenue went down from one year to the next, or vice versa, up? Can you explain to me what this particular expense is? There's things that you may be asked. So it is really good, just as a business owner in general, but also preparing for financing, to know those types of things so that you can talk to the bank or the financial institution about that. You can answer those questions. I do come across people that I, have to reach out and ask a question. And honestly, some people really don't have a clue. So they have to go back to their financials and, do some research and really try to uncover what the answer is for those questions. So it's really good practice. Kind of try to know that up front, to the best of your ability. Separate business finances from personal. That's because, you really need to see what's coming in and out of the business versus personal. When you mingle those, it can make it difficult to distinguish between the two. So it is a good practice to have a separate business account for your business. Again, financials, keep good records and seek help from experienced financial professional. Or experienced professional. So, banks and financial institutions will ask you for obviously tax returns, but profit and loss statements and balance sheets sometimes. And those are the things that, if you don't already have someone taking care of that for you, then you have to scramble and try to get someone to do that. And that is not always, time wise, it's going to be difficult to get that in the time frame you need it, and also to get it, to get good records, to get somebody who knows what they're doing. So you don't want to scramble at the last minute. If you have someone you've gone to before, or get referrals from someone else that can help you with those types of things ahead of time, so that you do not have to scramble to find someone last minute and not knowing, their background or their, how their reputation, things like that. Be prepared, and have someone in mind, or have somebody you're already working with is ideal before you seek financing, so you have those things in place. It's going to make everything go, much faster and smoother. It's just going to be easier on you and easier on the financial institution. Credit is another big thing, and credit, a lot of people and borrowers and business owners are really surprised to find out how much we do rely on your personal credit score, even for a business loan. Technically, that owner is the person who's making that payment. You're the person that's guaranteeing, we're what we call the guarantor. So you're guaranteeing the loan is going to be repaid. So therefore, we are looking at your personal credit and your personal credit history, and to see how did you repay things, what kind of record you have. Now, we are much more lenient than a typical financial institution, in that we can look at it case by case, and we can see, if there's a certain mitigating circumstances, then we can get that information from you. And our minimum credit score is actually 600, which is much, much lower than a typical, bank or financial institution. So therefore, we are able to help many more people than a regular bank can help. And we can help those people that are, underserved, that typically have not been able to go to a bank to get help. Now, it does matter what's on your credit report. You can have a cutoff at 600. Of course, the higher, the better. Please remember that. The higher you can boost your credit, the better it is going to be for you, the better it's going to be for the bank. It's going to be a stronger package. It's going to be, just going to look better, and it's going to be more in your favor the better your score is, even though we take at least a 600. But it also depends what's on your credit score. Do you have collections? Do you have charge-offs? Do you have late payments? How recent are those? What's the circumstances around it? Things like that. You can have, people can have a couple of bumps in the road with their credit. that's fine. But if it's numerous and multiple bumps, then we could have a problem. So we have to look at that and see, what exactly is your payment history. So that's really important. So if you have those things on your credit report, try to make sure you work on your credit as much as you can before you seek financing, because it's going to put you in a better position with that financial institution to be able to get the financing that you need. And also build a relationship with your financial institution, to the best of your ability. Where do you bank? Where's your business account? If you don't have someone, get referrals from your friends, your family. Look online, what banks have good reputation, what banks have the mission that you align with, what kind of banks are doing the work that, you want to see in your community is really a good way to try to support that bank and try to build a relationship there with that bank, even if it's just to begin with, opening up, your bank account there, getting to know the people in the branch. When you get ready to maybe think about business financing, even if you're not ready yet, reach out, see how you can reach out to the person, such as myself or the loan officer or commercial loan officer who does that. And you can have a chit chat with them. A big part of my day is talking to people who aren't ready yet, who have a lot of questions, but that's okay because that's what we do. That is what we do. We help you and tell you this is what we're going to need. What is your credit like? Okay, this is what you need to do. What are you looking for? What kind of income do you have? So those are the type of things that if you go to a professional and try to start talking to them ahead of time, before you're in a bind, because the lending takes time. So I'll do that before you actually need it. Try to get that relationship started and all these things done, that when you're ready to go for that financing, you already have these things in place. And if you don't, a good banker, loan officer, financial person is going to still guide you and help you along the way. 5 C's of credit. I'm sure you've heard about this. Just want to cover this real quick. These are the things the bank use. Capacity. What is your ability to repay the loan? What's your income? How do you have enough cash flow? Collateral. Is there security for the loan? As I spoke about earlier, some loans require that collateral, some may not. Credit history. We talked about that. Conditions, what is that industry like? What's the economy like? Is this the industry that's doing, this is something that underwriters are going to look at. Is this the industry that's doing well right now? Is the industry, oversaturated? So that's really important to look at too. Any other place in the country, a restaurant, may or may not have difficulty with financing, but it's going to be easier here because this is where the, hospitality industry. So um, character, integrity, reputation, references, again, and this can also be credit in a way as well. What kind of history do you have of repaying the people that you made a legal commitment to repay? So, what does that look like? Have you honored, your end of the deal and really stuck to your financial agreement with them? Application requirements. This is for us. Every institution's different, but the gist and the main bones are normally the same. And I won't go over everything because you are going to receive this deck after. But identification, verify your residency. Most banks, and we do ask for your recent bank statements. Your business articles, organizational documents. If you're a startup business, you do need a business plan with financials. Here in New Orleans, we have many organizations that help with that. The LA SBDC, the Urban League, Propeller. There's a few organizations that can help you with that for no charge, actually. You need your application, business financial statements, as I referred to earlier, profit and loss, which is also referred to as an income statement, and our balance sheet. Why you need to have these prepared ahead of time, because most institutions are going to ask for that. Tax returns, personal financial statements. Most institutions have their own form you complete with your things you own and what you owe, your assets and your liabilities. any pay stubs, if you have any outside W-2 income, proof of any other kind of income, Social Security, retirement, veterans benefits, anything like that. And we require, because we are a depository institution as well, that you establish a business account with us for that business that we're going to be doing the loan for. For us, we don't do that until after the loan is approved, but just that is something to just keep in mind that we would require that. And of course, that's something that you want. You want a bank where you have that business at, and number one, it's more convenient. Number two, again, it's establishing that relationship. Application process for us, processing times vary depending upon what type of loan you're getting. A real estate loan is going to take longer than, another loan that's smaller with no collateral. We review the application, all the documents, make sure everything's in order. That's part of one of the things that I do. I'm actually going to do a little preliminary number crunch of your revenue versus your expenses. Make sure there's no red flags and that everything, looks like it's in order to move on to underwriting. And we have an underwriting process, approval, closing, and funding. A couple of the special things about us. As again, I mentioned, we have 100% equipment financing for anything under 2 years. And again, that includes vehicles as well. Anything over that is 75%. We have, and again, because we are a CDFI, we have other programs. We have a program that can assist potentially with the loan to value, depending on the area that you're in. So, for example, typically 75% for a vehicle over 2 years. We have a program depending on where the business is located. We may be able to do a little more than 75%, but that is something that we will do when we're looking at everything to see what is the best way we can help you. And believe me, if we have a program that's going to help you, we're going to use it. Minimum credit score again is 600. That is something that's very difficult to find. And because we're not only a CDFI, we're also a credit union. We also have shared banking. So if any of you have credit union accounts, you're probably familiar with this already, but we're on a network with other credit unions across the country. And you can just go and search whatever city you're going to be in or where you are to see what other credit unions you can use. You can go to make withdrawals, you can make deposits, you can make payments. So you can do all of that. If you don't really have a branch close to you, it's not really convenient, that's okay. We made it convenient. You can use shared banking, not only in the state, but all over the country. And I just wanted to mention some of our special initiatives that are really, really close to our heart, that is really part of our mission, is affordable housing, childcare, education, healthy food, and healthcare, just some of them. And that's all I have for you. And I believe that after Miss Alma finishes, we may have time for some questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Everyone, please remember to put your questions in the chat box and we'll get to them once Ms. Brown finishes.
I'm here. I was just having some difficulties finding my buttons. Hello, everyone. My name is Alma Brown. I am with LiftFund, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Margaret, and the City of New Orleans for allowing LiftFund and myself to present and offer this as a source for small business owners who are looking to grow or start their business. And I also want to say thank you to Ramona. Ramona, we have a lot of commonalities with Hope Credit Union. We are also a CDFI, a Community Development Financial Institution. So we're a nonprofit, and our mission is to help small business owners. We've been around for 30 years, and let me share my short presentation and go over that so that way we can, let's see here. Here we are. Get started. Here we go. And let me start my presentation. There we go. Okay, very good. So as I mentioned, LiftFund has been operating for a little over 30 years, and we were developed to help small business owners. We are not a bank. We are not a depository bank. We are a lender with a mission to help small businesses. And so, as I mentioned, we support small business owners who really can't get financing through traditional sources. And you'll see that a lot of the things that we offer are in common with what Ramona mentioned with Hope Credit. And so we hope to be resources for you. And I also want to mention that if for some reason, you talk to me or someone on our team, and it's not a good fit, we certainly will try to find you another resource because that's the other thing that we do is we also offer resources so that if we feel like it may not work for us at this time and you need funding immediately, we'll try to help you find other resources. But as a CDFI, we help a diverse business owner, whereas almost 80% of our business owners are minority business owners, and almost 40% are women business owners. For the last 30 years, we have also provided over $1 billion in funding and helped close to 30,000, making 30,000, close to 30,000 at this point in small business loans. And so we also keep track when we close our loans of how many jobs are going to be created or how many jobs are going to be retained because of the loan. And so we do keep track of that. And we're proud to say that about 90,000 since our inception, jobs have been created or retained. Um, we help businesses when they need to grow their business, they need to start their business. And there's a lot of things that as a small business owner you have to think about. You might need equipment, you might need inventory, you might need marketing money, you might need to hire someone. There's a lot of things. You might even need a lease space. There's a lot of things to think about. And so when you're thinking about that and you think, well, I think I'm going to need some funding for that, we certainly want you to think about Lift Fund as an option and discuss what you're needing with us so that we can hopefully be a resource for you. How do we do that? How do we help? How do we empower entrepreneurs? We offer two services. So we offer funding, and I'm going to cover that, but we also offer financial and business education. We have a small business resource hub as part of the services that we offer at no charge. And so we do offer individual business consultations, and these are virtual consultations, and they could be one visit or it could be multiple visits, and we can help you with whatever issue, problem that you're having. Maybe you need a business plan. Maybe it's as simple as that. We can help you with that. Or maybe you need help with your marketing plan. It's not working and you want somebody to look at it and see if maybe they can help you to figure out how to make it work a little bit better for your business. We do offer a lot of virtual workshops with a variety of topics online, and you can find that information on our website, and I'll share that website at the end. And then we also have some accelerator programs that are virtual as well. In the past, we've had accelerator programs for women business owners who were already in business and they needed to take their business to the next level. We've also helped some veteran business owners through some accelerator programs as well. So those are some of the education um, services that we offer. On the funding services, we are an SBA lender. And so we do offer a lot of micro loans, which are the smaller loans, a lot of small business loans, and these range as little as $500 up to $500,000. I mentioned that we're an SBA lender and we have three programs under SBA. One is a micro loan, the other one's called an SBA 7A, and the other is a larger one called an SBA 504. And this is when the business is buying or constructing their building that they're going to operate out of. And this loan can be up to 5.5 million. In fact, it says here in Texas, but we also do help in Louisiana as well. And then we have some special loan programs that we offer, as Ramona mentioned, as a community lender. Our mission is to help businesses, and we've created a lot of special loan programs so that we can offer more help. And so we do for example, have a specific loan program for veteran business owners where we're offering a discount on the interest rate, or first responders. If you're doing something to help your business be more energy efficient, we also have a special program for that where there's a very low interest rate on those kinds of programs. Um, I do want to say that we don't expect you, the business owner, to remember the different loans that we offer. Just know that if the purpose of the loan is to help grow your business or start your business, we can more than likely consider it. And then it's our job to figure out which of the programs is the best for you. And that's why it's important to be prepared when you're coming to talk to us. I also have a slide on giving you some advice and some tips on how to be prepared to come talk to us. And I say come talk to us. We are virtual because we do serve all of the US, and most of our lenders are helping business owners virtually. We do not have an office right now in New Orleans, but my colleague named Laura is your representative who helps in New Orleans in the state of Louisiana. So, Ramona had the 5 C's of credit, and I'm not going to go into detail, but this is how you qualify for a loan. This is what we will review with you when you have a conversation with us, and we'll go over each one of them. As she mentioned as well, all lenders have this as a requirement, but it's each individual lender has different criteria. So, for example, on the capital, the one in the middle, when you're a startup business, a lot of lenders want you to come in with your own money, your own skin in the game. And sometimes you'll hear that lenders want 20%. That's kind of a general number. Some lenders want 30%. That means that if I needed $10,000, I would need to come in with 2,000 or 3,000 of my own money, and then I'm getting financing for the rest. And so here's where lenders can be different. And as community lenders, we can be a little more flexible. We have a minimum requirement when it's a startup business that you come in with a 10% injection. So your injection is actually going to be a little bit less than maybe another lender, maybe a more traditional lender might require, or maybe they won't consider a startup business. So here again is where the flexibility is. We categorize credit under character. It's how well you pay others, how well you take care of your credit, and you pay your bills and keep track of your personal financials. So this is important because, as Ramona mentioned, we do require a personal guarantor. So the owner or the owners of the company are who will apply for the loan on behalf of the company, and we are looking at personal credit of the owners of the company. So here is my tip sheet on how to prepare for a loan. I think one of the biggest things is know how much you need. It doesn't have to be exact, but an idea will help us when we're having a conversation with you. It's the requirements are the same, but we could have a little bit less documentation that we might need for, let's say, a $10,000 loan than what we would need for a $100,000 loan. And so we want to make sure that we're preparing you for the process of the loan based on how much you need. So that's the reason that I say that. Now, there are some folks that come to us and they say, I really don't have a number in mind, but I know that I want to do this. And I'm going to work on my budget later, but I want to be prepared for a loan in the near future. And that is perfectly okay. We can still talk in general terms about what the requirements are, what kind of documents we're going to need. And then once you have a better figure, a better amount, again, even if it's a range, that's fine, then we can talk more specific about what we're going to need. So that's what I mean by know how much you need. We do need tax returns. Depending on how much you need, we might need 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year. Again, there's a general rule about the more that you need, the more documentation we're going to need. It's good to have your financial statements readily available. And if you don't have them available, that is okay. It shouldn't deter you from calling us and having a conversation. You may not need them if you're asking for a smaller loan amount. So that again, open the conversation with us and we're happy to discuss with you. We do need bank statements last 3 months for all of your accounts. If you're a startup business and you do not have a business bank account, that's perfectly okay. Well, then we'll take your personal accounts. And I agree 100% with what Ramona said in keeping those financials separate. If you start a business or you're in business, you should separate business income from your personal income, your business bank statements from your personal bank statements. It makes it a lot easier for when you come to ask for a loan for us to separate those two when we're reviewing the financials. We also recommend that you know what your personal credit looks like. There is a free federally approved website, and you'll see it here on the screen. It's annualcreditreport.com, and you can check here and just review your credit history. You don't have to pay for the score. Reviewing your credit history is free, and you just want to make sure that there are no surprises on there, that you're familiar with what's on there, and making sure that you are getting credit for paying your credit on time. And so that way you have an idea, again, when you're coming to talk to us about what your credit looks like. We are going to need your corporation documents, your business entity documents, whether you're an assumed name or a DBA or an LLC or you're filing a corporation. We just need to know who the owners are so we have the right people on the loan application. And for those of you who are in the startup phase, we do need a business plan and would like to see some financial projections. And knowing what you own for either personally and business helps, again, in guiding. Perhaps we can use those assets for collateral. And then how much you owe, right? Personally and or business. I have, X amount in credit card payments and X amount in installment loans. Those those things will help because we require that information on the loan application. And so because again, we're a nonprofit, we're a community lender, I just want to reiterate that we're here to help small business owners. We do offer personalized help during the loan process. We could be hands-on as you want us to be, or as hands-off as you want us to be. We have a portal where you're applying online, and some folks can't really navigate that, and we can help you during the process to help you with the loan process, and also when we're needing documents. If you want to just send those things directly to us, we certainly can help you to do that. So we can help you with that. We want to help you build your personal credit so that you can graduate and not have to work with LiftFund for the rest of your life, because we want you to be able to have a relationship with your credit union, with your bank, so that you can have more options. LiftFund offers term loans only. And so what that means is that we're giving you the entire loan at the beginning, and then you're paying us in equal monthly installments. With your bank or your credit union, you might have options, as Ramona mentioned, like a line of credit. You might have some credit card options, some equipment loans that are specific to your industry. And so you'll have more options as you're growing your business and becoming more financially ready for that. We want to make sure that you're building assets to create wealth. The more assets that you build, the more opportunities that you'll have, again, for getting some financing through your bank or credit union. And then, it's really important to us that the economy is impacted in a very positive way. So, building opportunity to hire and retain employees. We help startups when really a lot of banks can't. Our rates are going to be lower than your credit card or your payday lenders, and we want to encourage visiting with us first before you take those options. And then we do work with lower credit scores. LiftFund actually does not have a minimum credit score, but as a general rule, the better your credit, the higher that you can apply for. And if you've got some challenges that have happened in the past, then we might start you off with a lower loan and help to build your credit up. I have a client that has come to us, and they didn't have any credit at all. So we helped them with a small loan. It was like a $3,000 loan for some landscaping equipment. And then he grew his business, and through the years, built his credit up, built his business up, and was actually able to buy his own building after about 8 years. We want to make sure that we're helping you to build those assets. And he's graduated from our program. He doesn't have to get a loan with us anymore. We can be flexible on collateral requirements because we do require collateral. And then I mentioned the online business resources. And I also mentioned at the beginning, we connect through resources if we're not able to help. And we've been doing this for 30 plus years. Excuse me. So we do help most industries: restaurants, trucking, construction, daycares, startups, and then businesses with limited collateral. or credit. And we also help you with a plan. If you're not ready right now, we will be specific and we will tell you why we think that you're not ready, why you're not meeting our criteria, and give you a plan. This is what you need to do. This is what we need to see in order for you to come back in 3 months or 6 months. And so that is something that we do, and you have that opportunity when you're working with a lender with LiftFund. And here is my contact information. You'll see that my email is here. My direct line is that 210-507-4289. And then we've got our general information line and the general email up at the top. Let me stop sharing here. Thank you.
Thank you both. Do we have any questions? Are there any business industries that either institution doesn't fund?
Yeah, I can go first. So there's a couple. One of them is we don't fund any businesses that are related to CBD or any sort of, marijuana kind of business. So we don't fund that kind of business or those kinds of businesses. If you're using our loan to then lend out, so if you're a finance company that needs to lend out, we don't offer loans for that. And if there's any sort of adult entertainment, kind of like bars with adult entertainment, those kinds of businesses, we don't lend to. But we do bars and we do restaurants. As long as there's not adult entertainment going on, we can't do those kinds of businesses.
And thanks, Alma. And actually, we're pretty much the same. I've been in banking for a long time. I think that's pretty standard. Those are standard industries. It's very difficult, to get funding from, really from a bank. And that's pretty much us too. The other one that I would add, it might be the same for Alma too, but like a dealership, auto dealership with a floor plan, auto dealerships, would not be. Um, and I see your question, what about cash intensive businesses? So for us, that would be you're talking about paycheck cashing, third party check cashing, things like that, um, would be difficult because there's lots of reporting requirements and that you have to provide ahead of time and you have to be approved. um, Maybe not impossible, but those are difficult. So those aren't on the absolutely not list, but um, they can be very difficult. Oh, snowball stands or businesses take a lot of cash. Yeah, there's no problem with that. We don't have a problem with that.
Same. Yeah, same. The only thing I would add is that we do need to prove that there is income, right? And I understand that it's mostly a cash business. So we would look to see if there's deposits being made. If you feel like in the next 3 months, 6 months, you're going to need financing, I would start making those deposits into your bank account.
Mhm.
Take your money, every 2 days or once a week, whatever you need to do, deposit it, even if you have to turn around and take it back out. We need to be able to
Mhm.
prove and see that there's, income coming in. Do you take Square or, other kind of payments? We do take into consideration those reports and can consider income from those kind of statements.
Okay, any other questions? Now is the time to ask those questions. You have the professionals right here willing to answer your questions.
It needs to be in chat only, right?
No, you
Oh,
can
okay.
raise your
All right.
hand and come on.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand. Please forgive me. My name is Laura Landry. I've met Miss Ramona before because I actually got my account through her with Hope. I had a question. I wanted to just make sure that I can get the other speaker's information. Will we have the information after this call is over?
Yes, the presentations will be provided to you. And I think both presentations have contact information at the end.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Anyone else? And Miss Almer, just get that over to me so I can include
ma'am.
it. Okay, someone's raising their hand. Come on in.
Okay, I did it right this time. Okay, I have a barber and nail salon, so I just wanted to make sure that we would fit under the bracket because we could definitely use like equipment help.
Yeah.
But we've run through some challenges due to the incident in the French Quarters because we're located downtown. So our business kind of took a hard hit since January, and then with the snowstorm and then Super Bowl, it really didn't help us at all because they blocked the streets and a lot of our clients couldn't get to us. So when we were expecting to make way more, we didn't. So we've kind of taken a lot of hits. So my credit is not as fabulous as it used to be. So I just wanted to know with LiftFund, you said that the credit doesn't, I mean, it matters, but you don't have like a certain score.
Correct.
So I just wanted to get a little more information on that because I think because I know I'm right at a 6 or right underneath a 6. I'm not sure. I have to check it. So I know with Hope I wouldn't qualify this time, but maybe in a couple of months I could. But with yours, with the LiftFund, being a beauty salon, barbershop, nail salon, we could definitely apply with you. But what would be the criteria with the credit part? Because we do take payments through Zelle, Cash App, and Square.
Right, right. So that's a great question. Thank you for asking. I said earlier that is a general rule, the better your credit, the higher you can apply for, and that we don't have a minimum FICO score. But if your credit score is on the lower end, or if you've had some issues in the past due to whatever, personal things that, or even business things that have happened in the past, we certainly understand that. What we want to see is that in the last 6 months, that you've had positive payments. So we're looking at the last 6 months specifically. And if there are any negative accounts in the last 6 months, then we ask that you wait until that you're either back on track or those have become over 6 months, and then we can consider a loan for you. Then we'll look at the score at that point. We'll look at how much you're looking for and see if we can help you. So as a general, as I would say that the minimum that we need is positive credit history or no negative credit history in the last 6 months. Does that make sense, Laura?
Yes, ma'am. That makes perfect sense. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So, and I'll give you some specific examples. Let's say that I apply and I need $10,000 to buy some equipment for my barbershop. And I have a 550 FICO score, and maybe I've had some credit issues in the past, but those are from like maybe COVID times, right? 2019, 2020, 2021. But everything else I'm trying to get back on track is being paid on time. Okay. I would be a good candidate, and regardless of what the FICO score is, because for 10,000, you can be in the mid 500s, low 500s, and still apply for a loan for about $10,000. So I wanted to kind of give you a specific example so that you had an idea of where we were when we're reviewing credit and credit scores.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Sounds good. Is there any more?
I'm sure if there's, you'll have our contact information. You can reach out to either one of us by phone or email. I know we won't mind talking to you. So y'all, whoever is on the call, please feel free to do that.
Absolutely. And I would encourage you, even if you're thinking about funding in the future, have a conversation with us. At least start that conversation so that you can be prepared. I think that one of the mistakes that a lot of businesses do is they wait to the very last minute and I'm sure Ramona, you get the calls too. I need the funding tomorrow. And as much as we want to help, it's not that fast. Certainly, we do have some loan options that are faster than our, let's say, larger loans, but having that conversation, being prepared is definitely a big plus for when you need it.
Yes. Well, I want to thank Ms. Ramona Sanders and Ms. Alma Brown for taking time out to be with us today, and all of you for joining. Within 5 to 10 business days, this session will be on the Office of Economic Development YouTube channel. Our next session is Thursday, September the 25th, and our speakers are the speakers for the day will be Ms. Clairvay Stinson, the program director with the New Orleans Tourism and Cultural Foundation, and Mr. Jared Woods, Vice President and Senior Business Consultant with JP Morgan Chase. Please check your emails for reminders, and I hope you all will join us the next time. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Is the meeting over?